one of my good friends, buddies in the business, but actually a mentor as well, someone I look up to a ton, Zac Twardowski. Excited to be leading you guys on the Family First Life America call, and excited to run through a couple of things with you guys. So it's if you're not building from day one, Zac, can you talk about how you waited, and what that's done for you from hiring? Because you've been a Hall of Fame producer 3 times. You sold 750 was your biggest?
700. Yeah, I got out of the field in October. So I did right about 700 up into October, and then 570 the year before that, and right at 400 my first year.
So 3-time Hall of Fame producer, but didn't start building an agency for almost 13 months. And he expresses this to me all the time. So if you're not hiring or you don't know why to hire, this is why. Listen up, take notes.
Yeah, and the way I like to think about it is Grady started actually shortly after I started, right? And like, do I think that Grady had a higher business acumen than I did coming into this? I do, absolutely. And do I think he was better at recruiting and systems and that stuff? I really do. But 3 weeks into this month, we were right at just shy of $1 million, like 997, and Grady was at 2.6 FL America. The whole great team you guys have. Do I think the gap would be that large if I had started right away? I don't think it'd be that big. I think there would still be a gap because I have a tremendous amount of respect for Grady and what he's done and what he knew and all the skill sets he has as far as promoting things in his business. But it wouldn't be $1 million. It might be $1 million. It might be 600,000, but I don't think it'd be 1.6 million. So the reason I waited, guys, is because what I didn't understand was that you don't have to be all things to all people, and you can't, and you won't grow a business if you are, right? The way that you actually grow a business and the way producers actually learn how to write insurance, the way I learned it was I'd go run appointments and I would listen to training and call other people and figure out how to get help. My direct upline, right? Like, I know we kind of hate that, but my person who should have been teaching me everything the way I thought in the beginning, I learned almost nothing about how to sell insurance from that person. How I learned it was from the trainings, podcasts, reaching out to people like a Mark Mead, Wayne Carr, like these people that weren't in my group that I didn't know. And then I went to them and asked them for help and to critique me and tweak me. So what I've learned is that if I learned how to sell insurance that same way, there's no reason that everyone else that we bring on shouldn't have the opportunity to do the same thing. That's what Sean said. He was like, if you learn how to sell that way and you learn how to sell at a high level that way, do you think you're like better than everyone else to where they can't learn the same way? And I was like, no. He's like, because that'd be selfish to think you are. So you should hire people, bring them on and let them figure it out and be there to support and help them and get really good at just pointing them in the right direction. Like Jordan, I know we'll jump into some other stuff, but what I used to do early on is Jordan would call me, if he was on my agency, call me and go, hey, I just had this appointment. This is where I missed it. And I would spend 45 minutes going through it with him, right? Which is fine, right? I mean, but it's not the way you should build a business. Now what I do is I go, hey, Steve Giordano sold $1.3 million this year. The reason you didn't sell that one is because the intro of your appointment is terrible. I'm going to send you his, not only to offend you, but you need to change it because it's not good. So I'm going to send you Steve Giordano's intro to his in-home. I want you to watch it. Call me back if you have any questions. If I send it to 10 people, how many people would think call me back with questions at the end? Like 1 or 2?
Maybe 1.
1 or 2, right?
They'd be like, that was awesome.
They'll be like, that's awesome. He's way better than you. And I'm like, I know he's better than me. That's why I sent you the video. So my point is you don't have to know everything and be a great producer to teach other people how to be a great producer. All you have to do is get good at leveraging other people's resources. And that's why, like in our group, Easton and Jake, Easton sold more than I did last year. I didn't teach Easton how to sell insurance. He was training the other day on something. I'm like, dude, where did you get that from? That's really good. I wish I could go back now and use that when I was in the field. And I didn't have to be everything to him. He learned stuff from other people. He learned stuff from Steve and these other agents. So, thinking that you have to be everything to everyone and thinking that, you have to figure out first is a little bit selfish, and thinking that people can't figure it out the same way that we all did, which was by going to trainings, trial and error. That's like you saying that you're smarter than everyone else. And that's not true. It's like you're saying that you're better than everyone else. And it's not true. So that's what Sean had to tell me. And it was hard for me to swallow that because I was like, I just want to be able to help people. But I realized I was hindering people by not just showing them the opportunity and giving them the tools they needed to be successful.
Yeah, the most successful agents and agencies are the most resourceful, right? They're the ones who look for the answer 5 times before they ask for the answer. Dude, I called this carrier, I called 6 people and I couldn't find the answer. Can you point it out to me? Dude, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
the other thing, Jordan, is the amount of time it would take me to run through one whole in-home with someone, maybe 45 minutes sometimes, right? I can send that video to you about Steve and I can send it to 9 other people at the same time. And that takes the same 45 minutes and we get a lot more done And we're actually teaching people how to be resourceful and how to find trainings and how to teach themselves, which is what we want to do as agency owners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just becoming self-sufficient. So
Mhm.
we want to get into some training, guys, things that we're going to keep it A, B's, and C's, because Zac says it all the time. Tim Duncan could throw a heck of a bounce pass and he could hit a hook shot and he can make a layup. So we're going to do fundamentals, things that we're going to say today that might be a word track that you can use tomorrow and make money. So we're going to focus mainly on the setup and the in-home. We're going to spend 2 or 3 minutes each. We're going to mostly Zac, because Zac sells 4 times more than me. So we're going to focus on what he does to set up. And then we've got 2 awesome brand new agents, and we're going to listen to them. And what's going to be cool is they might say some things. They might say some things that they've heard from Zac. They might say some things that we've all heard on YouTube. But it's not what you say as much as it is how you say it and with what intention you say it. So let's do 5 to 10 minutes of in-home.
Okay.
Let's do just a basic internet lead. You're getting to the table and going how we're getting in depth. We're not asking questions at a surface level. I'll be the client. My wife here, Brittany, she's sitting here, and we'd love to see how you just set the expectation, set the table. If you're not taking notes, get off the call.
Before I jump into specific in-home, I will say that in order to do the in-home the way that I've always done it, which is very simple, assumptive, and non-salesy, and you don't have to be like the best, like Matt Smith or, something like that, or Paul McLean, type of
Salesman.
speaker or salesman, anything like that, that polished, is that you need to have enough appointments to where you care about every client, but you don't care if everyone buys. That was important to me, dude, because it allowed me to set up the in-home this way. So my rule for myself was I would not get in the field unless I had 8 appointments every day. My goal was 10 a day. And that didn't mean like if I had 6 that I would be like, I'm not running tomorrow. It'd be like at 9 o'clock at night, I'd still be dialing, right? So 8 appointments a day, 32 a week was what I did for the last 3 years. But how I learned how to set up my in-home was by knocking out the objections I got frequently in the beginning of the appointment. So I often got, I want to shop around. I want to think about it. And do you mind if we get back to you later? Were the main ones, right? And check my budget, some stuff like that. So how it would go is, so let's say you guys are both 60 and 62 years old, right? Yep. So we sit down, I go, Jordan, looks like you were the one that filled this out because your name was on here. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So I assume that you and Brittany had me over today to make sure that something happened to either one of you, that there wasn't going to be a big burden on the other person. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. So this is really simple. I'm not going to put you through some sort of sales presentation or anything like that. What I have is this client suitability worksheet, so I pull it out at that point, which is called it's a client inventory sheet, but I called it the client suitability worksheet because I thought it sounded professional and it goes along with, making sure we go through suitability. Okay. And so Jordan, what this client suitability worksheet is going to allow me to do is ask you a couple minutes of financial questions, health questions about any other insurance you may or may not have. And then the way that this works is insurance is all regulated by the state of whatever. So state of Nevada, because we're in Nevada right now.
Yep.
State of Nevada. So that just means that it's based on your age and health will tell us what carrier will be the best fit for you and your family. So however you answer these questions, is going to allow me to figure out what the best possible fit for you guys is going to be. So I'm only asking you stuff because I have to. It's, it's because part of the state regulated process. Does that sound fair?
That's fair.
And now, Jordan, I promise one thing, dude. I'm going to be super honest and direct with you today. Can you do me one solid in return?
Of course.
All right. I asked that when we get to the end, you either give me a yes or a no. I won't be offended either way, but they have me seeing 30 people a week. And I would just rather you tell me yes or no. And I promise it won't hurt my feelings. I'm gonna do my best to protect you, but can you give me a yes or no when we get done with this thing?
Absolutely.
So then when you do that, then at the end, you have permission, because he said, okay, for me to be like, you can't tell me you want to think about it. You got to give me a yes or a no. So then I go, okay, so let's jump into this thing. And I do that as soon as I sit down. And then throughout the financial inventory is when we're actually building a bit of rapport. So I sit down with them right away. I'm not going, nice chair, Jordan, like some stuff that he doesn't actually care about. Then when we jump in, a couple of tips on building rapport. How I did it in the home was I would often ask people about, what they did for, if they're retired, what'd you used to do for work? A couple of things, because people like to hear themselves speak and talk about something they've been successful at. So I would ask Jordan, he used to be a teacher. Tell me about that. Where'd you teach? How long did you do it for? 5 minutes, maybe max. But I get them to talk about themselves. They loosen up. We're good to go. Jump back in. That's how you build a rapport. Not 10 minutes at the beginning. Here's my flip book. They don't care, man. They want to talk about themselves because people care about themselves. So, so we could jump in. I go, okay, so looks like you guys are both retired.
Yep.
Jordan, you're making how much a month?
2,100.
2,100. Okay. And then Brittany, how much are you bringing in a month?
1,500.
1,500. All right, Jordan, you're 2,100. Is that all Social Security and pension, or where's that money coming from?
2,100 Social Security. I do have a $400 pension as well, but I quit early, so it's not much.
A $400. Okay, so the $400 when you die, I assume that goes away, or
It's gone.
it's gone. Okay, and then Brittany. So then I'll go. Brittany, do you understand how this works then with the Social Security?
No.
She'll go no. Okay, so what's going to happen when Jordan passes away? You're going to get his $2,000 or his not two. It's $1,700 a month because you lose the 400. So you're going to get his $1,700 a month, and you're going to lose your $1,500 a month because that's all from Social Security, right? Yep. Okay, got it. So Brittany, how do you think that would affect your guys' income going from you're making $3,600 a month now? How would that affect your lifestyle if you had to go from $3,600 a month to $1,500 a month overnight?
It wouldn't be good.
Well, I mean, what would that do though? Like, would you guys be able to pay bills? Like, would that affect how you lifestyle stuff? Would you be able to pay groceries? Like, what would it look like? Can you walk me through what the next 3, 6, 9 months would look like?
I'd probably have to get a job, another part-time job, and just figure it out. I wouldn't be able to afford. I'd only be able to afford the house, but anything on top of that, I wouldn't be able to afford the car or anything.
Got it. All right. And Jordan, and so Jordan was responding as Brittany, right? Okay. So Jordan, I assume you don't want that to be her situation, right?
No.
All right. And then so if she passes away, you're going to lose her 1,500. Obviously not quite as big of a crisis, but if you lost that money, what does that look like for you? Would that make things pretty tight for you, or what would your life look like then?
I mean, we're not saving any money.
Okay. Got it. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do today is make sure we put something in place to make sure if something happens to either one of you guys, that the other one is not going to have to be, running for the hills or pawning, family heirlooms or whatever you got to do. We're going to make sure that there's something in place that they have a check right away as soon as something happens to either one of you. The other one gets some sort of money, whether it's 10,000 or 100,000. We'll figure something out. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll go through depending. I always ask them, hey, do you guys have a mortgage? Are you renting? What does that look like? So let's just play it like so. Do you guys have a mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay. How much do you guys have remaining on the mortgage?
23 years and about 400 grand.
About 400 grand left on it. Got it. Do you know what the house was appraised at, or best guess?
550.
550. Got it. Brittany, this is a big place. I assume if something happens to him, you're probably not going to want to stick around here, are you?
Never thought about it.
Yeah. Okay. But so right now, Jordan's 65, you're 62. Let's say something happens 10 years. So you're 72. You think you'll be able to take care of a place this size without him around here?
No, I would downsize.
It's always, I just want to jump out of character real quick. It's always it's a statement with a question mark, right? You're not going to be able to do this, right? And because the reason for that is that people don't like to be confrontational. So if you ask a pretty directed question and then put a question mark on it, they're going to most likely go along with you, and they're going to have to go pretty far to their way to argue with you, right? So I'm trying to get them to buy into what I'm looking at. So I go, okay, cool. So the plan is, Brittany, if he passes away, you're going to stay here for a little bit, get everything, tightened up, pull the equity out, and go live somewhere smaller that doesn't have a mortgage or something that you can afford, right?
Right.
And I get her bought in on that. And then y'all have seen a lot of videos, Matt Smith, Paul, all these guys going through how to do the equity protection, but I'm setting that up ahead of time. Okay. So got it. So if he passes away, we need to make sure that you got some money to pay for the mortgage for as long as you want to stay here until you sell the house, and then to pay for his funeral. Does that sound about right?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Same thing with Jordan. Okay. So same thing with you, basically. Would you be able to cover the mortgage without Brittany's income? I mean, what would that look like for you?
I could cover the mortgage, but it would be, we'd have nothing for all the other bills.
Okay, got it. And I'm sure the last thing you want to have is your house get foreclosed on and the 110,000 go back to the bank if something pops up, right?
Right.
All right. So for both people, then it looks like it's a must, right? That we get something to cover the mortgage, at least for a few months, so you guys can sell the house and don't have to, don't get it foreclosed on, and are able to cover the burial. Is that about where we're at with everything?
100%.
Cool. So like when I'm doing in-home, I'm getting them to buy then. They're bought, they're in, right? Now all I have to do is make it make sense as far as the budget goes. Underwriting tip, I always go, all right, Jordan, Brittany, can you guys grab me a list of any medications you have? If you don't have a list, go grab me the pill bottles. And then can you let me know any surgeries or major medical procedures you've had in the last 10 years. So if you're a new agent, once you've gotten all that stuff at that point, so once we get all that stuff, then I ask them, hey, do you guys have any existing life insurance policies?
In the suitability sheet.
Yeah. So after I get their health stuff, do you guys have any existing life insurance policies? If it's no, it's okay, keep moving. If they're retired, they won't have something through work, so it's not an issue, right? If they go, yeah, I have something, I go, all right, cool, grab me that policy. If you say it confidently enough and just say, go grab me that policy. If they ask why, I go, I don't know, it's on all the applications. It makes me at least check what you have, make sure I'm not putting you in a bad spot. Guys, I need you to grab it, or we can sit on hold with the carrier for 20 minutes, whatever you want to do. But I got a lot of stuff to do today, and I know you all do too. So I want to be respectful of your time. So if you grab the policy, it would save us some time. If they can't find it, you can look at their bank statement, figure out what carrier, call them and figure out what they have, right? If they already have something, you can just use that to assign for whatever, right? So say they, in this scenario, they have 10,000, be like, oh, cool, that's great. So you guys have 10,000. So that'll cover the burial. So now what we need to do is just make sure that the mortgage is covered, correct? To make sure she's not gonna lose the house if you pass away.
Yeah. I'm assuming you got
I'm
that for
assuming it
this.
for this, yeah. Because when they fill out the form that they had y'all over for, they already knew they had insurance, right? So if you can take that insurance and assign something for it and then ask them a question. So I'm assuming that one's for burial, correct? Yep. Okay, that makes sense. So you had me over here today to cover your mortgage. Is that correct? Yep. Then they can't go at the end and be like, well, I can use this one for the mortgage a little bit. Like, no, you said that's to cover the funeral. And that's probably not even enough. It's only 10,000, but let's talk about that later. Let's get the mortgage covered today. Then quick tip, if they're working already, again, just very assumptive that they already know. I go, all right, Jordan, you have a policy. So this is a different scenario. Say someone's 40 years old. Jordan goes, I have $500,000 through work. Like, awesome, man. So I assume you understand that that's only good as long as you're working at your job, right? It's like the company car or whatever, you leave, or they decide they don't want the company car, or they decide they don't want to cover your insurance anymore. You don't get insurance anymore.
Got it.
Do you know that already? I mean, most people do.
I wasn't too aware. It's a new job, but it
Got
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah. So that's how that works. So, and what happened with COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs, had no insurance, then got sick and couldn't get insurance. So we want to make sure, I assume you want to make sure you have something you actually own, correct?
Yes.
Cool. So that's, assume question mark,
assume.
boom, right?
It's an assumptive sale. I mean,
Yep.
it's straight from Sean.
And it is. And I was actually just recording a podcast with Josh Crenshaw like 5 minutes before this. And he goes, I'm not the best salesperson. I'm like, damn, I've said that. Easton said that, you said it. A bunch of people have said that who sell a lot of insurance. And the reason is we're not selling, man. We're just going through, taking someone's order, banging out questions, and then making a recommendation. You don't have to be a good salesperson to do that. You have to be assumptive and you have to care about the client, right? Is there anything else you want me to cover as far as the home? I tried to get through it quick so we had time for Casey to go through her stuff.
That was awesome. I want to elaborate on two things. Okay.
Yeah.
Number one, it's all about digging deep. It's about digging deep to what that's going to look like. Okay. Elaborate on it. What does that look like? Okay. Tell me a little bit more. What is that? You can't take anything at face value. When you're going through this suitability sheet, guys, you're going through this inventory sheet. It should be slow and methodical, and everything is a big deal. High blood pressure. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What was your last reading?
Yeah.
How many medications? So can you tell us what it took for you to go from, 15, 20 agents doing 200 grand a month to being a board member, $1 million of issued every month, guaranteed, no matter what?
Yeah.
What did it take to go from having just one staff and you and your boys to building a real company?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing you can do when you're looking for staff is understand what you're good at and what you're not good at, right? So I knew I was good at dialing the phone. I knew I could teach people how to sell some insurance. And I knew how to sell insurance. So then what I was looking for was someone that could help me with the recruiting. Now, I don't mean like do the recruiting for you. I didn't have a recruiter that was going to do everything and build my business for me, because that doesn't work. That's been proven time and time again, right? But what I had was I hired someone that could get a lot of people in front of me and get me on the phone with a lot of people who are interested, so that I could, use my way of recruiting, which is very laid back. This is what I do. I'm not that good at this. I make a lot of money doing it, and look at all these other people, right? Yeah. I just wanted someone to get as many people in front of me as possible. So what happened was I made the decision. I was like, I want to try to get like 2 years of work done in a year. So I decided, I was like, I'm going to work every day. So I would dial the phone Thursday morning and Friday morning from 7:30 till 10 to book up Saturday and Sunday. Then I would spend the rest of those days working with new agents, getting people in the field, on the phones, helping out on the phone, doing training. Then I'd run 20 appointments Saturday and Sunday. And then on Monday, I would dial and set up like 5 appointments for Tuesday evening. I did that all year. And every free minute I had, it was my same schedule every week. And I tweaked it a little bit to get it there. But the point was I wanted to be able to work with my staff to help them get proficient, to fix all the stuff that was broken.
Right.
Because like, we were driving a car that like the bumper was taped on, and like someone, it was like putting milk in the, it was a disaster, dude. It was terrible. And I was like, I need to fix this. I need to sell enough insurance because I need good staff to help me, because I'm not that good. So I got to sell a lot of insurance, and I'm gonna have to work 7 days a week, and then I'm gonna get out of the field by October. And that's what happened.
So how much staff did you scale to? What does your office overhead look like?
Yeah, I went from 1 staff at the beginning of the year to 4 full-time staff now. And I pay them really well. I'm not saying you have to pay people this much, but my one recruiter that does like a lot of other stuff for me and has been, a really big asset, she wasn't going to come work for me for no money. She's a really talented person. So she makes 78 grand a year. That's a lot of money. And when I hired her, I was writing 50 grand a month, dumping it all back in, not growing. And I think I had 10 grand in my bank account at the time. I'm like, all right, so Christina's makes 6 grand a month. I'm like,
so you had 10 grand and you went
it's like half my net worth.
Yeah.
That's like half my net worth. But then we were able to scale it, build a couple big agents, and we got a couple great, amazing people that are growing their own businesses now.
Wow.
But to the point now where from there to cash flowing over 100 grand a month consistently, just by deciding to put my head down, going to work, and then
teaching the
staff,
right?
Actually working with my staff. Early on, I hired people and I was like, go recruit people. And I'm like, how is she supposed to know that? Right. So what I started doing was, getting them, working with them, and then figuring out where I was deficient at. I knew I wasn't a great recruiter, wasn't good at posting on social media, which someone asked what the best way to recruits is, warm market, right?
Yeah, warm market.
By far. And social media and having your people that you hire their warm market. But I knew I wasn't good. I'm like, I'm not the best recruiter. I don't do the best job of explaining this amazing thing we have. So I got around people like Jordan, who taught me how to actually talk about the different ways to make money with FFL. I got around Andrew, so people who told me how to structure a business properly. I got around Grady, people that taught me how to promote stuff and get people on calls and get people to events. And because I knew how to sell insurance. And then I realized I was lacking on this whole other side. It's like my left brain was not there, right? So I got around these people like y'all three, and you guys have helped me tremendously. That's why Grady's like, you do all my team's calls. I'm like, dude, I'll do all your team's calls forever with how much money you've made.
You've helped us so much though, too.
Yeah, so I think, and then if you're someone who's really good at recruiting, then leverage other people who are good at selling, good at teaching selling, and learn how to do that yourself. So that's what I did all this year. I realized like halfway through the year, I'm like, I'm not good at this. I need to figure out how to get better at this. I need to humble myself and know I don't know everything. And that's what Sean said. He's like, dude, go work with Grady and Andrew. And
those guys aren't special. I mean, none of us are special. We're all, this is just our skill. It'd be like, if you asked me to play basketball, we'd be screwed. But if you want me to teach you how to hit flop shots and recruit people, I got you. Yeah. So like Zac can dude, I appreciate you just as a buddy, as a friend, as a mentor, dude. Yep. I appreciate you so much, dude. So drop us an emoji, guys. Drop us a mountain emoji if you're on an iPhone for Mile High, for my good buddy Zac Twardowski.